Today is a beautiful day for science. Taking a look at the activity for 10 January of 2023 UTC. Taking a closer look first at region 3186, which has been giving us the most activity. We see the continuation of the expansion of that region as it continues to develop, giving us X-class flares as well. This one came around the edge, the rim, showing us a lot of very exciting activity as it came through. More specifically, as we take a look at angstroms 171 right here, we can see that the activity is not only quite beautiful and remarkable, but we can actually see a significant CME that occurs going to the eastern limb. This will not impact Earth. It's going behind Earth's orbit and will not cause any impacts to us at all. No concern. Here on angstrom 304, we'll get a better view of what that CME looks like, and it is quite beautiful. And here we are. We can see this large amount of plasma as it extends away from 3186. That, once again, this is not projected towards Earth. It is projected away behind Earth's orbit, so we are in the clear. But that is a beautiful and very large coronal mass ejection. As we can see, post that initial burst, a lot of plasma does come right back into the sun as well. But that is a large amount of plasma that was dispersed from that event. Quite beautiful. And we're finally looking at this at a high resolution in a more frames per second, so we can actually see this in a little better detail. And we can look and see that these umbras, the sunspots, are actually expanding and shifting. And we can see that the positive region is finally starting to expand as well. But taking a look at a different region now that we've got a good view of what was happening there, let's take a look at 3184 and 3182, which both have been quite active and beautiful as well. And we can see that the continued activity reconfigurations that are occurring, they're not as massive as 3186 as per se, but that's mostly because they've already developed their regions, they've already expanded where they're going to go, and most of what's happening now is stabilization of the activity and energy within the region as it's already developed. So we're not seeing a lot of expansion as we are in 3186, but we're still seeing a lot of flaring activity due to the amount of energy that's still being pushed from beneath the surface through the surface and in these coronal loops as they fight and navigate for space and have those accidental high fives causing solar flares. And note the beautiful prominence as well, dancing off in the bottom left corner there. I always enjoy watching those as they manifest and a lot of times turn into a coronal mass ejection upon a eruption. And one final region to really take note of, a region that's just now developing a little more intense in structure, and is also showing that it's growing, despite the fact of being as large as it is. Region 3181 has shown growth and expansion of its region, and we'll see it a bit more clearly at 1600 angstroms, which is like the pale green imagery, which is the final imagery as we cycle through. But what we see is there's a cycle of these flares that occur that start almost like from the southern portion all the way up going towards the equator, as this is on the southwest portion of the sun right now on the earth-facing disk. And we can see as it expands its activity, it's almost pushing upward northward. And we'll see why here as soon as we get to the 1600 angstroms. But for now, notice the flare loops as the loops as they flare up. Just as quickly as they're already reconfiguring and balancing out, they're getting pushed aside and new reconfigurations are occurring. So we're getting rapid flare activity from 3181. Now looking at 1600 angstroms, we can see that these sunspots, these umbras, the darkened circles that we see here, they're not only expanding in some of the areas, mostly to the north, but they're also being pushed slightly northward. Let's go back to that and take a closer look. So more specifically, you'll see a lot of the localized flaring is in the northern portion of this region. And you'll see that a lot of this flaring activity is between the southern umbras up to the northern umbras or sunspots, and leading to the point where interaction of higher intensity is stealing away that connection that it has with some of those southern umbras. And that's the reason for these flares. They're fighting for that connection, saying, I'm stronger, I'm going to take that loop from you. And thus comes that conflict and all the activity we're seeing. So we see a lot of initiation from that north, and it just starts causing all that separation on the southern portions. It's a beautiful arrangement that's going on there. And that's basically the summary. That's for 10 January of 2023, UTC, of course. And I'll have this course as the bottom portion event cycling through as we watch the 11th and see what it has in store for us. Cheers and science on.